of the hepatitis B vaccine, including alleged links to autism. The study approved for funding by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention after changes under the U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. would all have enrolled 14,000 newborn babies. Half were to receive the hepatitis B vaccine at birth, while the other half would receive it at 6 weeks, reflecting current practices in Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau's Foreign Minister João Bernardo Vieira confirmed that the study would not proceed, citing concern that the scientific community and the U.S. lawmakers. Lastly, scientists in the United States have developed a single nasal spray vaccine that can protect against cough, cold, and bacterial lung infection. The researchers say the vaccine, which has so far only been tested on mice, marks a radical departure from the traditional technique of training the body to fight a single infection. Dr. Bali Pulenran is the lead author of this study.
This vaccine, what we term a universal vaccine, has been developed on the principle of programming our immune systems in such a way that it elicits a far broader response that is broadly protective against not just the flu virus, not just the COVID virus, not just the common cold virus, but against virtually all viruses.
Now, for any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Ntsintsi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
And coming up in your sports news this hour, the T20 World Cup Superstage lineup has been complete. And John Reid to make his debut in the Joburg Open. I'll tell you more at 12:30.
This is Africa Update, your pulse to the continent. Stories shaping nations and voices driving change. Stay informed, stay connected, right here on Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
It is 12:05 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa on Channel Africa from an African perspective. We are on DSTV's audio bouquet channel 802, an OpenView channel 628, and on www.channelafrica.co.za, as well as on the SABC Plus app and the Channel Africa app, available on the Apple and Google Play stores. Join us in conversation on our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram and YouTube at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes on +27 83 288 6684. Hashtag Africa Update. Today on Hashtag Africa Update Ask, we focus on Zimbabwe's ruling party ZANU-PF saying the arrest of the son of the country's late leader Robert Mugabe is a private matter and not a party issue. The son has been charged with attempted murder and was detained at the scene along with another man. Now, we want to know, what do you make of the latest regarding the Mugabe family? Share your thoughts and your views on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes on +27 83 288 6684. Hashtag Africa Update Us.
Africa. It's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K
or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land.
From Lagos to Cape Town,
Nairobi to Dakar.
We've got you covered
with the freshest news,
music,
and cultures.
So,
turn up the volume.
Feel the rhythm. Enjoy the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
It is 12:08 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. A major United Nations appeal has been launched for refugees from prolonged conflict in Sudan and neighboring countries. And the countries need at least $1.6 billion to deliver life-saving aid. Meanwhile, a report by the UN has revealed Sudanese paramilitaries have committed grave massacres during their 18-month siege and capture of Al-Fasher. To unpack what has taken place in Africa this week, we are joined on the line by political analyst David Matsanga. Dr. Matsanga, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon, my favorite Lulu. How are you?
Very well, Dr. Matsanga. It's so good to be speaking to you once again about all issues involving the African continent. What for you are the most significant political trends emerging across Africa right now?
Yes. What did you say?
I wanted to find out from you. What are the most significant political trends that are emerging across the African continent right now?
I'm sorry, our network will be very funny because I am in a place where networks are not very good, but I hope you are hearing me properly now.
Yes, you're coming through loud and clear. Dr. Matsanga, just wanting to find out what you're seeing with regards to African countries and what they're doing most in terms of what is trending between countries and actions that they're taking that could involve their citizens.
I think there is more of war conflict. It is in the air everywhere. Elections everywhere. The aftershocks of elections, good ones, bad ones, conflicts. I was in the AU last week in Addis Ababa. The air was only, people are worried. The lack of essential commodities, the threat of Mr. Trump coming to threaten Africa. This was the whole air of Addis Ababa in hotels. People could say, who is next? So that air was there, Lulu.
Dr. Matsanga, let's talk about Sudan and, how Sudan is affecting regional stability. And how do they get it right? What needs to happen for Sudan to get stability and, especially for the citizens of Sudan?
I think where I am, I'm even fighting to make sure that the peace talks are resuscitated. I am doing that behind the scene. For a conflict to be over, you need informal and formal contacts. The problem that the African Union has done on Sudan, they don't have informal contacts. Informal contacts that talk to the generals informally, who can tell them, please, people have died enough. Let's go on table. Another big problem that has come in Sudan is America itself. It has taken sides. It has pulled people one side and taken it to Jeddah and allowed them to do whatever they want. Then it has come to restrict the other side of RSF, restrict them with sanctions, harass them, put a lot of so many things, allegations, and this is causing a lot of problems. So until African Union and the mediators see that problem as a problem of America itself coming to divide the same groups that are fighting and taking sides, we might not get peace in that region at all.
And what are the broader implications of instability in South Sudan?
Very big. The North has affected the South. Now you see, in Sudan itself, Salva Kiir both Salva Kiir and Riek. I have been involved in this conflict for a long time. I even went to look I am the one who made Mr. Riak to be released from South Africa, a house arrest, because I did an interview and blew it out. South African authorities were not happy with me. But it is okay. Now, the same Riak, when they arrived home, one of the problems that South Sudan has, we did not do what we call a redemption strategy in South Sudan. Until you do a redemption strategy in conflict resolution, of which I'm an expert, you will never get peace. Salva Kiir has locked up Mr. Riak, Dr. Riak Machar, on trumped-up charges, locked him up and put him in house arrest, no movement, sacked the cabinet, the wife, they sacked, harassed, intimidated everybody. And I don't know whether he does these things when he knows where he is. We might be dealing with somebody who doesn't know what he's doing. And ego in South Sudan.
Now, what is the role of the African Union and the regional bloc? Because now nothing seems to be happening. Why is this the case? And why is the AU not reacting fast enough and getting things done?
Lulu, you and me and the listeners and the viewers across the world, it is a sorry state. I told you. It's unfortunate the late Raila Amolo Odinga died after we lost the AU chairmanship. I was warning people that it's better Odinga was there than this man from Djibouti. He's captured. He doesn't know what to do graphs with the presidents. One of the biggest problems of South African Union is the chairmanship, that slot.
Dr. Matsanga,
so that we have a credit officer. Yes.
And you know what? Your line is not the greatest. We'll try and do this another time because we have run out of time as well.
We can remove the. Now you can hear me properly.
Yes, that sounds a lot better. Just in wrapping up.
Yes, we can remove the video, I think. Yes.
All right. Just in wrapping up, Dr. Matsanga, are we likely to see more military coups, or has that wave peaked already?
There are more on the way, especially West Africa. There are more. There should be one there. You can see the conditions around there. Trump sending in 200 Marines, doing what? What are they looking for? They are pretending to be looking for Boko Haram. They know from the imagery where Boko Haram is, but they are sending in troops. They can't do anything in Nigeria. Nigeria is breeding more and more coups around the region because everybody in that region is looking at Nigeria as the big brother, but Nigeria has collapsed itself. The center cannot hold. As Chinawa Achebe said, things are falling apart. The leaders work with terrorists themselves. They are in government. How will you defeat them? Christians are being butchered. More and more Lulu, more coups are expected.
Yeah.
But I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you that let's keep on talking about Africa.
Thank
Sudan,
you, Dr. Matsanga.
where I am, I'm looking for Sudan. And I think soon we shall have a peace conference seated in one of the capital cities. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Matsanga, for your time. That was political analyst Dr. David Matsanga joining us on the line.
The voice of the continent, now online, with all your sports fixtures, lifestyle, and more. Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
It is 17 after 12 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Our Zimbabwe's ruling party, ZANU-PF, says the arrest of a son of the country's late leader, Robert Mugabe, is a private matter and not a party issue. The son has been charged with attempted murder and was detained at the scene along with another man. A 23-year-old is in critical condition after he was shot, allegedly in the back. The motive and circumstance behind the shooting remain under investigation, and police divers are still searching for the firearm that was used. Now, SABC reporter Thabiso Hadebe is outside the Mugabe house in Hyde Park, Johannesburg, South Africa. And he now joins us. Thabiso, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Your call has been placed.
All right, we seem to be on hold there as we try and get a hold of Tubby. So just to unpack exactly what is unfolding at Hyde Park and what new information has come forth in terms of what the motive was, why this, the individual was shot in the back, and what more information they have with regards to the 23-year-old's condition in hospital, and whether the police are finding this alleged gun or the gun that was used in the swimming pool. So a lot happening there on that front. It is 18 after 12 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa.
This Friday on The Upside.
Hi, I'm Super Hot Six Mabuse.
We are bringing heavyweights in the studio.
You'll be listening to Channel Africa, and I'll be talking about my gigs, my feature, and what I've been doing in the recording studio. So tune in on Channel Africa 1514 to hear all the things that I'm talking about.
If you care about the music of Africa, this is the place to be. On The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. Africa Update, your daily dose of African insights with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
Well, today on hashtag Africa Updates Ask, Zimbabwe's ruling party ZANU-PF says the arrest of a son of a country's late leader, Robert Mugabe, is a private matter and not a party issue. The son has been charged with attempted murder and was detained at the scene along with another man. Now, we want to know, what do you make of the latest regarding the Mugabe family? Share your thoughts and your views on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes on +27 83 288 6684 hashtag Africa Update Us.
The sound of Africa is evolving. Experience our new mobile app. Free to download, free to connect. Channel Africa 1060. 6 decades of stories, voices, and vision. Channel Africa is evolving, and so are you. Stay connected wherever you are with our brand new website and mobile app. Stream your favorite shows, catch up on African news, culture, and conversations, all at your fingertips.
Africa is just a tap away.
Your world, your stories, now on the go.
Stay connected wherever you are.
Visit channelafrica.co.za or download the Channel Africa app today. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
A big milestone. South Africa's SABC Plus has officially reached 2 million registered users, and there's even more waiting for you. Stream great content from SuperSport Schools, Sportscast, BRICS TV Africa, Puma Kappa TV, and 1KZN TV, all on SABC Plus. So if you haven't yet, download the SABC Plus today and join the millions. One platform, more to watch and listen to. SABC Plus. Download, register and stream now.
Você é fluente em português? É apaixonado por rádio e quer trabalhar na África do Sul? Você tem documentos que o qualificam para trabalhar na África do Sul? Nesse caso, podemos ter uma oportunidade para você trabalhar no Canal África. Envie seu currículo e demonstração para Canal África at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Lembre-se, se você não receber alguma resposta nossa em 14 dias, isso significa que você não foi selecionado. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Africa Update, your daily dose of African insights with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
It is 22 after 12 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. A Tunisian court on Thursday sentenced lawmaker Ahmed Saidani to 8 months in prison over social media posts mocking President Kais Saied. Opponents say the ruling signals an intensifying crackdown on critics. Once a supporter of Sayed's policies against political opponents, Saidani has become a vocal critic, accusing the president of seeking to monopolize all decision-making while leaving others to bear the blame for problems. Tutungubeni has more.
According to an official, Ahmed Saidani, the Tunisian member of parliament, was jailed on charges of insulting others through communications networks. Saidani was arrested this month after he mocked President Kais Saied in a Facebook post describing him as the supreme commander of sewage and rainwater drainage. Human rights groups have criticized what they describe as an escalation of Said's crackdown on dissent since he suspended Tunisia's parliament back in 2021 and began ruling by decree. In response to the arrest, Member of Parliament Bilal Metri says this is a violation of the law and an attack on institutions, and questions how Parliament can hold the executive authority to account if it carries out unlawful arrests over critical views. Saidani was elected as a lawmaker at the end of 2022 in a parliamentary election with a very low voter turnout, following Said's dissolution of the previous parliament and dismissal of government in 2021. President Said was elected in 2019, promising a return to stable government following years of political instability after long-time leader Zine Al-Abidine Ben Ali was ousted by the Arab Spring Street protests in 2011. For Channel Africa News, I am Tutongobeni in Johannesburg.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has delivered a firm and wide-ranging response to the State of the Nation address debate. He struck an optimistic tone on the economy while tackling persistent challenges including energy, water, gender-based violence and inequality.
Ramaphosa says despite criticism, there are clear signs that the country is on a path to recovery.
We have seen promising signs of recovery. Whether people like it or not, it has been there. Whether people think it's an illusion, it has been there. Whether people think we've turned the corner or not, they are blind because we are turning the corner. That is where we are. We see this, yes, in steps that we are taking to reduce unemployment and accelerate growth. We see the signs of recovery in improved public finances and lower inflation.
On energy, the president pointed to the end of load shedding as a turning point for economic growth.
Load shedding was one of those that held our economy back, was debilitating our economy, lowering production, raising costs, and deterring investment. Now, where are we? We have effectively ended load shedding, and investments are now flowing in. We have stopped load shedding. We have stopped unreliable power that has raised costs, that stops production and deters investment.
Turning to water, Ramaphosa says long-term reforms are underway to address systemic failures.
Like electricity and logistics, the crisis in water has many causes stretching back many years. Like electricity and logistics, we have already embarked on a far-reaching reform process that will fundamentally change the way that the water sector in our country functions and serves the people of our country. The National Water Crisis Committee is building on the work that we have already done by the Water Task Team chaired by the Deputy President, by Operation Vulindela, by the Department of Water and Sanitation, and by various respective municipalities.
On gender-based violence, he has urged Parliament to act urgently in establishing the GBVF Council.
Now, in working on this, the implementation of this plan, they understood that gender-based violence and femicide cannot be stopped by government alone. It must be stopped by society. But it must also be stopped by this Parliament. Since the law was passed, and since you crafted the law that you should appoint the council members. I have been waiting on you to finalize the appointment of the council. And the women of our country have been impatient, waiting for this parliament to finalize the appointment of the council.
He also reflected on the legacy of apartheid, saying inequality along racial lines cannot be allowed to persist.
It cannot be acceptable to anyone in this house for African people, colored people, and Indian people to be poorer and have fewer opportunities than white people. It cannot be acceptable. And remembering that that was the order of the day in the past, and it can therefore never, 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 never be acceptable that that should continue, because that is what defined our life under apartheid.
And in a swipe at partners within the GNU, including the Democratic Alliance, Ramaphosa warned against claiming collective work as party victories.
So no minister or deputy minister should be publicly claiming their work in the GNU as an achievement of their party. In many cases, the basis for their achievements were laid before they even came into office. And in many cases, the work that we realize that will also realize the objectives will be the work that we do together. Our successes and our achievements are the achievements of a collective.
Ramaphosa maintains that while challenges remain, government is making steady progress. He has also called for unity across political and social sectors to drive inclusive growth and transformation. Mkokeli Bandla, SABC News, Parliament.
It is 12:30 Central African Time, and our news headlines up next.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Lulu. Zimbabwe's ruling party, the ZANU-PF, says it is awaiting an official statement from South African authorities regarding the arrest of its late president, Robert Mugabe's son. The late former president's son was arrested yesterday after the shooting of a 23-year-old employee at his Hyde Park home in Johannesburg. The Madlanga Commission has heard that how South Africa's suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner General Shadrack Sibiya interfered with the investigations of the 121 dockets. This is according to evidence leader Advocate Adil Hassim SC, who is cross-examining General Sibiya at the Madlanga Commission in Pretoria today. And Japan's Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi has set out plans to make the country stronger and more prosperous following the snap election 2 weeks ago. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Ntsinzi.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective. Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
It's a very good afternoon from the Sports Desk. I am Musibu Dimakura with the latest sports news at this hour. So Pakistan as well as New Zealand will clash in Colombo on Saturday as the second Super 8 phase of the T20 World Cup kicks off without former champions Australia, who shockingly failed to make it out of their group. Instead, surprise packages Zimbabwe, who did not even qualify back in 2024, topped Group B after a stunning unbeaten campaign where they not only defeated Australia but also the co-host Sri Lanka. An injury-depleted Australia endured a chaotic campaign and also failed to make the second phase of the T20 World Cup for the very first time since 2009. India, meanwhile, the world number one ranked side in T20 cricket, are hot favourites to retain their crown on home soil. However, in their second round match of the Super 8s, they will face a tough rematch of the 2024 final against the informed South Africa in Ahmedabad crowd at a packed 100,000 capacity Narendra Modi Stadium on Sunday. Both teams, by the way, came through the first round phase with 4 wins from 4 and no defeats at all for both teams going into the Super 8 stages. Meanwhile, the West Indies topped England convincingly in the group phase, and the two-time champions have all-round strength and depth. They won the T20 World Cup the last time it was hosted in India. That was back in 2016, and have also started in clinical fashion, winning all 4 group games. They will be extremely wary, though, of Zimbabwe, who's a colourful band of travelling supporters have had plenty to cheer so far. Even the washout against Ireland could not dampen their spirits. In Sri Lanka, Group D will pit the co-hosts against England, Pakistan as well as New Zealand. Pakistan were the last team to secure their berth in the Super 8 stages. They did so by beating Namibia by 102 runs, with captain Salman Agha calling it a complete performance as they bounce back from the group stage defeat to bitter rivals India. Another pre-tournament fancy, England stumbled through their group matches in Mumbai as well as Kolkata, losing to the only test-playing nation they faced, that was the West Indies, en route to the Super 8 stages. On to football news now. Zimbabwe began their COSAFA Women's Championship campaign with a 2-0 victory over Eswatini in Group B yesterday. Now, Paranen's Zavawanda struck in the 83rd minute before Rutendo Magore had sealed the early win in the second half. The Mighty Warriors will next face the defending champions Zambia on Sunday, while Eswatini will meet Botswana in another game on Sunday. Meanwhile, Malawi head coach Lovemore Fazile says that his side will go back to the drawing board after their 2-0 defeat to South Africa in the COSAFA Women's Championship opener just a few days ago. The coach also admitting that Malawi had a bad day at the office but vowed to correct mistakes before Saturday's clash with Lesotho. Malawi, by the way, sit 4th in Group A with 0 points after 1 game played. On to local football news now. Casrick Stars FC coach as well as the co-chairman of the side, Bucks Mtombeni, is expecting a very tough game against a wounded Orlando Pirates in the Nedbank Cup round of 16 at Orlando Amstel Arena on Saturday. Now, Pirates are coming into this game still reeling from a 2-1 defeat to Mamelodi Sundowns in the Betway Premiership at the FNB Stadium on Wednesday. Despite that midweek loss, Pirates have maintained a good run of form at the arena, and Mtombeni knows that they will have to be at their best to knock out the former champions.
First of all, I know that it's difficult to play Orlando Pirates at Orlando Stadium, because if you can look at the results, I think they don't lose the games when they play at Orlando Stadium. And secondly, I think the supporters, I think they come in numbers, and then I think the coach, I think it never even so far will lose the game there. But on the day, the football doesn't have a day for. If you can go there and just stick to our game plan and to not have any fear, I think anything can happen.
Well, still on local football news, Betway Premiership side, his Galaxy head coach Adan Baganovic has welcomed the lifting of the club's FIFA transfer ban, clearing the way for the registration of new players for the remainder of the 2025-2026 season. Now, the Rockets were sanctioned once again in December after the World Football Governing Body FIFA ruled against them in a contractual dispute involving Liberian forward Jake Bay Morris. Now, speaking ahead of the Nedbank Cup last 16 clash against Mamelodi Sundowns on Saturday, the coach confirmed that the club would soon be announcing fresh reinforcements to the team.
I have information. We sort of our FIFA bans. We are now on 0, and then we have opportunity to register all players what we have, what actually train with us from the beginning, and then club will be announced, I think today or tomorrow, all players that we sign. And then also it can be positive for us, and then our squad gets some quality players, and then competition and concurrence between players can be better. What I want actually to every players and fight for every position in the team.
Well, that concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, remember to send us an email. That's to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or call us. The newsroom line is +27 11714 4459. It is 12:37 p.m. Central African time. I'm back with more sports news with the Upside team in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. This Friday on The Upside.
Hi, I'm Super Hot Six Mabuse.
We are bringing heavyweights in the studio.
You'll be listening to Channel Africa, and I'll be talking about my gigs, my feature, and what I've been doing in the recording studio. So tune in on Channel Africa 1514 to hear all the things that I'm talking about.
If you care about the music of Africa, this is the place to be. On The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Good afternoon, and our first look at the business news this afternoon. The South African National Roads Agency Limited has announced that toll tariffs will increase by 3.12% from the 1st of next month. It says a hike is necessary to fulfilling its mandate of providing quality road infrastructure. The Road Freight Association has cautioned households to expect higher transport costs as a result. The association CEO, Gavin Kelly.
Any increased cost upstream for an operator, so this is where the costs come in at the very beginning of an operation, means that there will be cost increases downstream to you and I. That's what the economists say. So we're going to see a 3% increase in the operating costs for those operators. It won't be a 3% increase perhaps in the outset for what we pay at the till, at the retail store down the road, but it does mean that slowly but surely transport costs are going to increase.
The Public Servants Association in South Africa's Gauteng province will tomorrow embark on a major protest against the steep monthly contribution increases by the government employees' medical scheme, GEMS. Several public sector unions such as Fedusa and COSATU have slammed the medical scheme's January contribution increase of 9.8% and a further 9.5% increase effective from the 1st of April. Thousands of people are expected to gather at the GEMS headquarters in Pretoria tomorrow, where a memorandum of demands will be handed over to GEMS officials. PSA's acting Deputy General Manager, Claude Naiker.
Well, we're hoping that they will take our demand very seriously because public servants are really angry now. As you'll remember last year, despite numerous consultation meetings with them throughout the year, they still went ahead and implemented the 13% as well as this year the 9.8% increase. Remember, public servants received an inflation-linked salary in the region of 5%. Having implemented 13% last year and 9.8% this year, this effectively wiped out that salary increase.
Sibanye Stillwater says its annual profit jumped nearly fourfold, buoyed by higher prices of gold and platinum group metals, helping the diversified miner declare its first dividend since 2023. Headline earnings came in at 15 US cents for the year to December 2025, compared with almost 40 US cents the year before. Sibanye, which had skipped dividends over the past 3 years as it battled low PGM prices, declared a payout of 8 US cents per share, returning just about $230 million to shareholders. London-listed West Africa-focused oil and gas company Tullow Oil has entered a refinancing deals with Glencore and owners of about two-thirds of its $1.3 billion senior secured notes, extending debt maturities by over 2 years to November 2028. The company says it's also struck a deal with the Ghana government for the extension of its West Cape, 3 Points and Deepwater Tano petroleum agreements. The company says the refinancing deal stabilizes its capital structure and aligns it with expected 2026 operational catalysts and potential reserve additions, easing pressures on one of London's most debt-laden independent oil producers. Ukraine's finance minister, Serhiy Marchenko, has said a lack of power supplies is the biggest challenge facing Ukraine's economy. Marchenko said Ukraine depended on foreign support to fund everything from pensions to teachers and doctors' salaries. Here's the BBC's Jonathan Josephs.
Ukraine's central bank cut its forecast for economic growth this year from 2% to 1.8%, blaming Russia's persistent attacks on the energy system. And Finance Minister Serhiy Marchenko told the BBC the lack of power is the biggest challenge facing Ukraine's economy. Less business activity will lower tax receipts for a government already facing a $45 billion shortfall in its finances this year.
And now let's take our first look at the indicators this afternoon. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,343 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 10. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 14. And in Zambia, it's 18 kwacha 74. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 22. Russia, 76 rubles 66. India, it's 91 rupees and 3. China, 61.90. And South Africa, $1 is trading at 16 rand 11 cents this afternoon. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 84 to the euro. Now looking at commodities, which have all inched a bit higher this afternoon. Gold is trading at $5,024 per ounce. Platinum at $2,122 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $71.10 a barrel. And that's the business news. I'll be back with another update in the next hour. For any stories you'd like to share with us, please do send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or give us a call on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Bontle Headbush.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Africa Update on Channel Africa.
It is 12:44 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Zimbabwe's ruling party, ZANU-PF, saying that the arrest of the son of the country's late leader, Robert Mugabe, is a private matter and not a party issue. Now, the SABC reporter, Thabiso Radebe, is outside the Mugabe house in Hyde Park in Johannesburg in South Africa. Thabiso, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update. What's the latest? What's happening there on the ground?
Yeah, good afternoon. At the moment, we can see police and the city of Johannesburg fire brigade personnel trying to, they're still searching, especially police, they're still searching for the gun that is missing yesterday, the gun that is suspected to have shot the gardener who was taken to the hospital.
Do they believe the gun is still on the premises? Is that why the search is continuing?
Yes, yeah, it's because police, they're still saying that they don't want to leave no stone unturned. They want to make sure that if it's not here, they will have to do their investigation to find the person who disappeared with the gun or who took the gun, especially after it has shot the person who is an employee at this particular area in where we at the moment.
In Hyde Park. Now, Thabiso, tell us the state of the pool itself. What does it look like? Is it a clean pool? Is the water is clear? What's happening with that pool?
What we were told by police, because we are not allowed near the area or the premises, the police told us that there's mud inside the pool. That is why they were here yesterday with the divers, and then today again they are continuing. They are being assisted by the fire brigade to sort of drain some water, or rather the mud inside that particular pool. Maybe they will be lucky, they will be successful in finding what they are looking for.
And has the motive behind the shooting been clarified by police or investigators?
When we spoke with police yesterday, there are preliminary investigations have revealed that the owner, Mr. Mugabe, was actually in dispute with his employee because he did not report for duty. So there was that commotion in that particular house, and then the gardener ended up being shot by one of the person in the house. We cannot confirm whether it's Mr. Mugabe who shot the worker or rather it's the accomplice who was with him, but he was shot during that dispute of not him reporting for work.
And there were reports of a cartridge or cartridges being found. Just give us details of exactly how that unfolded.
It's true. Yesterday, during when the police arrived here, starting to comb the scene, starting to do their investigations with the forensic personnel, they found the cartridges on inside the premises. But unfortunately, the gun was not found. Yes, it's true. The cartridges were found while police were doing their investigations, while the suspects were inside that house. But unfortunately, the gun was not found.
And what charges is Mugabe's son formally charged with? What charges is he facing, together with the second individual who was in the property as well?
Currently, according to the police, the two are still facing the charge of attempted murder. We're not sure what's going to happen as this case goes by, because we understand that it is suspected that the firearm, someone must have taken it out of the premises to sort of tamper with the police investigation or messed up the police investigations, so that whoever shot the gardener or the employee must not be arrested.
And Thabiso, does this event feed into just broader perceptions of the Mugabe family's conduct?
Earlier on, I was speaking to some residents here, or some of them are domestic workers around here. Some of them, they gave me mixed reactions, mixed emotions. Some of them are saying, one of them, there was a guy who was busy jogging, and I asked him if this area was quiet. He said that Mr. Mugabe is always in trouble. Mr. Mugabe, wherever he is, there's trouble. I spoke to some domestic workers who are saying that it's every day, in every day of their lives, that particular house is quiet. They only see the person who's sweeping outside. It's very quiet, and they are so scared. They are living in fear that there were gunshots yesterday, and what's going to happen with them, because the person who's allegedly shot the worker is his boss. So they were saying that they are living in fear, especially what happened yesterday.
Well, Thabiso, thank you so much for joining us for that update. That's SABC reporter Thabiso Khadebe joining us on the line.
Téléchargez l'application Channel Africa sur votre Play Store ou Apple Store afin de pouvoir suivre toutes nos émissions en direct de là où vous vous trouvez. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Africa's story shines at 60. Channel Africa.
The African perspective.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
It's 12:50 Central African Time, and Debukhule Kuleni of the Upside team is here. Hello, happy Friday. How are you?
Yes, fantastic, Lulu. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Here's what's coming up on the Upside this afternoon. It's a musical Friday. We've got royalty who will be joining us in studio. South African musician Sipho Hot Sticks Mabuse is partnering up with Maralo to lead the Unity Soweto Concert 2026 this year in June. So he'll be joining us in studio just to talk about what to expect and also just reflecting back on his own career. That's all coming up on the Upside.
That's the Upside coming up from the top of the hour. That's with Debukhule Kuleni and Matseko Musito. We continue on Africa Update.
6 decades of rhythm, resonance, and relevance. We are Channel Africa, the African perspective. Your window to the continent and beyond. Africa Update. Only on Channel Africa. Channel Africa. The African perspective.
This year's International Mother Language Day focuses on the theme Youth Voices on Multilingual Education, highlighting the role young people play in promoting, defending and revitalizing languages through technology and education, aiming for more inclusive, sustainable societies. Now, the day is observed annually on the 21st of February. And to speak to us further, we are joined on the line by Julius Dantiel, the acting CEO of the Pan-South African Language Board, PAN-SALB. Julius, good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon, Lulu, and to your listeners.
Now, why is International Mother Language Day important?
It is important because it commemorates what happened in Bangladesh on this day when the students went into a protest to demand to have education in their own language, their own mother tongue. And it is the importance of mother tongue that in the education fraternity that it needs to be recognized and it needs to be understood, and then it needs also to be prospered accordingly because it contributes to the cognitive development of a student, and also what I called AI as an alternative to the artificial intelligence, which is actual intelligence. It then propels that actual intelligence to a higher level. That is why it's important the mother tongue in terms of each learner in the school, in the education environment.
And are mother tongue education policies being effectively implemented in schools?
Not really. What you see is only in certain countries in the world where you find that they have their mother tongue, and those countries are prosperous. If you go onto the net now, onto the internet, and just quiz to say which country is the most intelligent people or is good at maths and science and technology, what you then find, the underlying value is that they learn through their mother tongue. So the critical point is that when you come to Africa and mainly many of the former colonies of Europe, then you find that mother tongue is not as robust as it's supposed to be in terms of African countries, other than the Arabic countries in Africa. But the sub-Saharan, we are seeing a huge problem in terms of mother tongue education. Mother tongue-based education is also a very important concept because it's not saying that other languages are not important, but it says a learner must move from a base, which is a foundation, where they first understood their own environment, in which they start understanding their environment from home, and out of that, then they build from there. So you build in terms of the education, in terms of the communication with a child from the base that they have, and that is the importance of their own mother tongue, because that's how they perceive their own environment.
Now, in the South African context, what progress has the country made in protecting and promoting indigenous languages, and what challenges exist in expanding teaching materials in all official languages?
There's a kind of balanced project, progress in terms of when you take the country before 1994 and the country after 1994. Before 1994, the official languages of the country were two. They were English and Afrikaans. And that then those two languages are still maintained. Those whose mother tongue is English and Afrikaans, they go and write their exams. They go up to university level, and especially for the English, they go up to university level, then they learn in their mother tongue. What we have seen is the reduction of public education, higher education, where it uses Afrikaans, and that has got a negative impact. But also what we have observed is that for the other, or say 10 languages, including a sign language, we are seeing no progress in terms of ensuring that students and learners in basic education do learn in their own mother tongue. That process ends abruptly at grade 4, and it's really then every subject other than the language is learned through English, which in most cases this English becomes the third or the fourth language of this particular learner. So you are just disadvantaging the learner as early as possible. Then we see the steps that are being taken with the good experiments that have been undertaken in the Eastern Cape, where you see the results in the last 3-4 years, which is the result of a 12-year investment, where then learners have been taught in both languages, either English and Xhosa, or English and Sesotho, or English and Afrikaans. And you see the results when you come to matric. That program, Mother Tongue-Based Bilingual Education, started in 2012. And Eastern Cape, if you go and observe the result, matric result, have moved in the past 3-4 years from the 40s in terms of its results to 84% in last year. That tells you the progress that this provides in terms of education processes. But we also want to congratulate the Department of Education for introducing in grade 5 last year the rolling out nationally of the mother tongue-based bilingual education. But it then has the problem of resources that are not provided. And there is a fallacy and a myth that is always perpetuated that indigenous African languages do not have terminology. And that is a myth in the sense that if you are going to develop a curriculum based in English, then you transfer that curriculum, translate it into other languages. Then you are still disadvantaging those languages. What you need to do when you develop a curriculum, you must develop that curriculum authentically in that particular language. Yep. And then out of that, you will be able then to see whether there is terminology or not. But if you're going to base it on translation, then it's going to be a problem.
Well, Julius, we have run out of time and are going to leave it there for today. Thank you for joining us on Africa Update. That was Julius Dantil, the acting CEO of the Pan South African Language Board, joining us on the line. And that's how we wrap Africa Update today and for the week. It's been a good one. Continue with us on all our social media platforms. Have a great weekend, and let's do this again tomorrow. I beg your pardon, on Monday. Bye-bye.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802.
1 p.m. Central African Time. Clearly, Lulu Gaboo wants to stay on till the weekend. Join her on Monday. Same time, same place. It's now time for The Upside from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central African Time. But first, let's get the latest news.
SABC News.